There are roughly 1 billion of them alive right now. That number will be higher tomorrow. They exist on every continent except Antarctica. They have been selectively shaped by human decisions for so long that most of them could not survive without us. And we could not survive, at least not the way we do, without them. The relationship is so old and so deep that most people never think of it as a relationship at all. They just think of it as normal. But 15,000 years ago, none of this existed. One species made a choice, and everything changed. The animal we are talking about is the dog, not the wolf. The dog, because the dog and the wolf share almost identical DNA, but they are not the same animal. The dog is what the wolf became after it spent thousands of years inside the orbit of human civilization. And what it became is extraordinary. It started in Central Asia sometime between 15,000 and 40,000 years ago. The exact date is still debated. What is not debated is how it happened. A population of wolves began living near human camps, not in them, near them, eating scraps from the edges, staying close enough to benefit from the warmth and the leftover food, but far enough to avoid being killed. The humans who encountered these wolves had two choices: drive them away, or let them stay. Some let them stay. And the wolves that were slightly less afraid of humans, the ones with the slightly lower flight response, those wolves ate better. They survived longer. They had more offspring. And those offspring inherited the same slightly lower fear. Generation after generation, the wolves closest to humans became less wolf and more something else, something new. Here is what makes this different from every other domestication story. The dog is the only animal that domesticated itself. Every other animal humans domesticated, cattle, pigs, sheep, horses, was captured. Bred in captivity, changed by force. The dog walked in. The dog chose proximity. The dog began the process that would eventually produce the Labrador Retriever and the Chihuahua and every other breed currently sleeping on a couch somewhere. Not because humans dragged it there, because it came. And the humans who accepted them got something remarkable in return. Dogs could smell things humans could not, hear things humans could not, track prey across terrain that defeated human senses entirely. A human hunter with a dog was not the same as a human hunter without one. They were operating at a completely different level. The partnership made human groups more effective at finding food, more effective at detecting danger, more effective at surviving. Groups with dogs outlasted groups without them in conditions where those advantages mattered. This is where the richness begins. Because richness for an animal is not gold, it is not money, it is population size, range, protection, and access to resources. By every one of those measures, the dog went from a marginal wolf population to the most successful large carnivore in the history of the planet. There are 1 billion dogs alive today. There are fewer than 500,000 wild wolves. The dog bet on humans and the odds paid off at a scale the wolf never came close to. Now consider what humans did with dogs once the relationship deepened. They bred them, deliberately and specifically. For thousands of years, humans looked at dogs and asked what they needed done, and then selected the dogs most likely to do it. Herding sheep required a dog that responded to subtle direction and had endless energy. Guarding livestock required a dog large enough to intimidate predators. Hunting birds required a dog with a soft mouth that would retrieve without damaging. Pulling sleds required a dog with thick fur and extraordinary endurance. Every role produced a different physical type, a different temperament, a different relationship with the human doing the asking. The dog did not become one thing. It became hundreds of things, each one shaped precisely for a specific human need, each one more dependent on human approval than the one before it. By the time ancient civilizations were writing things down, dogs were already everywhere. Egyptian tombs from 3,500 years ago showed dogs beside their owners, named, mourned, buried with offerings. A dog named Abuwtiyuw received a royal burial ordered by a pharaoh, the same burial rites as a human nobleman. From a marginal wolf that stayed near a campfire to a named individual mourned by a king. In evolutionary terms, that is an almost incomprehensible distance to travel. The relationship kept changing shape. In medieval Europe, dogs guarded estates and hunted with nobility. In the 19th century, they moved into homes as companions. In the 20th century, they became members of the family. Today, in much of the developed world, dogs receive medical care, birthday celebrations, legal protections, and in some countries, inheritance rights. In the United States alone, people spend over $100 billion per year on pets, the majority on dogs. The wolf that walked toward the campfire 15,000 years ago could not have calculated this outcome, but the outcome happened anyway. The animal that made itself useful became indispensable. The animal that became indispensable became protected. The animal that became protected became one of the most numerous and geographically widespread animals in the history of life on Earth. I find something genuinely moving about this. Not the numbers. The original moment. One wolf. Slightly less afraid than the rest, staying when the others ran. It had no idea what it was beginning. Neither did the human who let it stay. And yet, everything that followed, every dog that has ever lived, every bond that has ever formed between a person and their animal traces back to that single moment of mutual tolerance, something that neither species planned, and both species needed. What the dog understood, not consciously but evolutionarily, is something humans took much longer to articulate. That specialization in service to another species is not weakness. It is the most reliable path to survival that biology has ever produced. The wolf that stayed near the fire did not lose. It won so completely that its descendants now sleep in climate-controlled rooms and eat food prepared specifically for their dietary needs, while its wild cousins fight for survival in shrinking territory on the margins of a human-dominated world. The first animal to become rich because of humans was not the one that resisted. It was not the one that competed. It was the one that noticed what humans needed and stayed close enough to provide it. That strategy has not changed, but the animal that figured it out first is still sleeping on someone's couch, dreaming of something it no longer needs to hunt, because someone else took care of that a long time ago.